Hey, what's up, everybody? Not my usual level of energy today. It's kind of rough out there. And today's topic is politics and tech. Um, Before I get into it, I guess one bright note is I hit over 100 subscribers, so I get to use a custom URL for YouTube. But there's a decent chance I'm going to lose some subscribers after this. So, you know, it is what it is. For those who haven't been following the news, in addition to, a pandemic hitting the entire country, there's now riots in most of the major cities because of the actions. Well, I won't say just because of the actions of some police officers, but also because of the institutional racism in America. And generally, I try to stay away from injecting any of my politics into my tech talks. It's for me, it's not the place for it. And I thought that some things were so obvious they didn't need to be said, like, don't be a racist. But apparently, these things need to be said out loud and stuff like, don't take your privilege for granted. Apparently, we need to say that out loud too. And so this is going to be a bit of a downer, but I feel like I'm taking the tone of the country right now, and I feel like people don't want to hear some white guy talk about tech for 10 minutes. So I will say what I can, and this might be a little shorter than normal because I mean I it's not about me talking; it's about other people talking, people that don't look like me. Um, yeah, the U.S. isn't doing so hot. I hope you're safe, and I hope for justice and improvement. I do try to keep my personal politics out of the tech stuff, and that's in part because I'm highly privileged. I don't need to care about politics because as a cis het middle-aged white dude, I get the gold treatment by default. I get to play the game on easy. Lots of people don't. Women, people of color, the LGBTQ community, they don't get this privilege. And I am unbelievably lucky to have it. And I I feel like my responsibility is to try to give back when I can. I mean, other people, they have to constantly be on guard in a way that I just don't. And it's hard for me to imagine what that's like. But if you'll permit me to make what is probably a poor analogy, the coronavirus is, I would call it an invisible, pervasive force that keeps me at a heightened, constant level of anxiety. Even when I'm alone, I'm worrying about it. I worry what it could do to my kids, my parents, my friends, and myself. And maybe that's a bit like what it feels like for someone who doesn't look like me all the time, even without the pandemic. That's just that constant anxiety and fear and worry. That is what they're dealing with all the time. And just getting a taste of that through the pandemic gives me some kind of an idea. I mean, definitely not anything close to what other people experience, but wow, it's terrible. You know, when my son was born, I worried about a lot of things. Short term stuff like, is he growing at the right rate? Is he eating enough? But I never had to worry whether he would have enough food to eat. And I never had to worry if we'd be able to afford a doctor. I also worried about long term stuff like, would he get into a good college? Would he have a good career? Would he have a happy life? But I never worried about whether he would be denied a good job because of the color of his skin. I never had to worry that he'd have to work twice as hard just to get a basic level of acknowledgement from his peers and bosses. I didn't have to worry about any of that. I didn't have to worry that a police officer would asphyxiate him with their knee because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time and didn't say the right things. I don't have to worry about that. Privilege, in a lot of ways, is invisible and it's pervasive, and it's as much about what you need to worry about as what you have. And there's a lot of things that I don't have to worry about because of that privilege. It's People talk about privilege and get all up in arms about it. And I've seen, white guys get all, well, I'm not privileged. I did these things myself. And they're missing the point. Privilege, it doesn't mean that you didn't work hard for something. It means that you started out with certain things that other people don't have, certain advantages. it doesn't mean that you don't have to work hard to achieve things, but it does mean that there are certain things that you had that that other person didn't. And that goes a lot of different ways. And what you do with that privilege is a judgment of your character. You can't erase the privilege, but what you do with it is important. So I didn't think that I needed to say all this. I didn't want to mix politics with tech, but I think it's clear that we all need to say it, to acknowledge it, and to try to make things better. If you're a white guy like me and you want to make a difference, there's a really good post from Tatiana Mack, which is a guide for white guys on how to make a difference. I'll include it in the show notes. She also has a guide for white women on how they can help make a difference for people of color right now. There's also a list on GitHub of bail funds across the country. So if you have the means, and I know not everyone does, but if you have the means, go to that list and make some donations. A lot of people are going to get arrested. A lot of people are going to be in trouble. A lot of people won't be able to make bail because they participated in protests or they were just going about their business and they got roped in, picked off the street randomly because they looked like they might be protesting or looting or whatever. And those people need our help. So if you have the means, please do. If you don't, well, hopefully someone's helping you out. Um, this is going to be short. I don't have anything else to say for today. It's been a rough weekend. Too many people are suffering. So hug your loved ones, help out wherever you can. And ironically, I know I'm going to say this after I talked for 7 minutes, but listen to people instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. There's a lot of people who need someone to just listen right now and believe them. And if you can do that, that's a huge help. That's all I got for today. Tomorrow's Terraform Tuesday, and I'll try to be back to my usual excited self. But today, I couldn't muster it, and everyone out there, just try to stay healthy, try to stay safe, and hopefully we'll get through this all together.